Hi and welcome back to The Peaks Life. I'm with Lynn Fernie with little bite-sized chunks of wellness wisdom to power you through your day, and we're continuing on the Peaks Formula series. So some of you joined us for the first one, which was all around the P in Peaks and what it meant, and we'll recap that in a minute. Today we're going to the next step on the formula, which is the EA. So before we go forward, Lynn, let's go back and let's do just a couple of minute recap for those people maybe tuning in for the first time. The Peaks formula, what is it, and what does the P for Peaks mean?
So what we're talking about all things wellness, and essentially the P stands for performance. So when we think about wellness, we think about the ability to do everything that you want to in your daily life, whether that's have the career you want, play with the family, enjoy life to the full. And we tend to look at, 5 specific areas where we're looking at your energy levels, your general health, your mind, your body, and your sleep. And we're aiming to optimize all of those areas so you can get the absolute maximum out of your life and be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be.
And for those who joined us last time, they did a bit of an activity around putting a number alongside how you feel in that particular space and where you want it to be, and then we look at how do we get you there. And so today we're looking at the elements of the Peaks formula, and this particular element is about the EA. So if you think of the word Peaks, P-E-A-K-S, we're looking at the EA, which is the element we're going to drill down on today. So tell us what the EA stands for, and I guess some of the things we're going to work through.
Yeah, so this first element, EA, it's all about energizing and activating your mind and your body. Because what we want is we want to be able to power through our day. We want our mind to feel really good and really clear. We want our body to move well and support us in whatever it is that we're trying to achieve. So we're looking at this first, and you may have done your goal setting piece around performance and come up with ideas of what you want to improve, but fundamentally there'll be something in here for everyone.
Absolutely,
so you'll be able to take some of these tactics, some of these strategies, implement them in your life and improve the way your mind functions, improve the way your body feels, looks and functions, and basically just get that bit more out of your day and a bit more out of your life.
Excellent. So we're thinking about energizing and activating your mind and body, so keep that up there. And there's some parts to the formula that sit below that. We're going to look at 3 of those areas and then how it all comes together. So let's go with the first one. We're going to talk about movement. And we've chosen the word and used the word movement versus exercise. We find a lot of wellness programs focus on exercise and there's a talk about exercise. Why do we use the term movement? So give us the insight to that.
So, you're right, Mike. There's a lot of people talk about exercise or fitness.
And some people hate exercise.
And some people hate exercise.
But that's okay. Stick with us. We're doing movement, not exercise.
And it's true. People have a dread.
Yes.
They really dread exercise.
Yes.
It conjures up for them the days, at school when you were forced to go and run around the hockey pitch or, do something that you just didn't enjoy.
Absolutely.
And so we're trying to get away from that, that idea that it's all about being, somebody who goes to the gym and sweats, bucket loads, 1 hour every day, put yourself through some grueling exercise routine in order to get fitter. What we're talking about is using movement through your day and finding ways to move your body so that everything actually feels good and works well. So moving your joints so that every articulated part of your body can move well, and that you're not going to end up as somebody who needs hip replacement or knee replacement at some point. We're talking about stretching out the muscles in the body so that, again, we can get full range of motion from our body. So we're talking about, the muscles, the joints. We're talking about the stability. So again, I can lift my shopping. I can pick up the kids.
Absolutely.
I can reach. I can do whatever work. If I'm a physical worker, I can do that sort of work. And I'm talking about just making sure that everything moves functionally. If I'm an executive, you may say, well, I don't really need that functional movement that a gardener needs. I don't need to do, but you do need to do certain things. You need to be able to walk around the office and look good. You need to be able to get out on site and be fit and healthy.
You might need to be able to sit at your desk for the day, and you might need some stability, some postural type movement exercises.
That's right. So there's a whole, bunch of reasons why you need your body to work efficiently and effectively. You need to set a good example for your team, and On the flip side, especially if you're an executive and you're sitting down for long periods of time, as executives often do, you're probably going to, as you said, have some issues with your posture from that sedentary position, from that sitting down position. You might have tight hip flexors, you might have lower back problems. So we basically want to do something during the course of the day that's going to alleviate the pressure and the pain. So therefore, going to the gym for an hour in the day isn't necessarily going to help you. But if you can find ways to move through your day, you're going to keep your metabolism fired up, you're going to keep your body moving, you're going to get all that fluid moving around the joints, and you're basically going to feel a lot better. It's also going to help your brain. So there's lots and lots of reasons, and we can talk about the benefits of movement in a second.
Yeah.
There's lots of reasons to move your body, even if you can't see obvious ones.
Yeah. So we are talking energize and activate. So the EA, energize and activate your mind and body. And we're talking about one of those first areas we focus on when we're doing coaching and when we're taking people through the Peaks program is movement. And one of the first steps is actually to understand what people like and what people dislike, because we know from a sustainability perspective, if we say to you, do this particular exercise and you don't like it, you may do it for the first 30 days, but it's very likely you're not going to do it. So we go through this process of finding out what people like. And that could be just boot scooting, it could be golf, it could be walking, it could be cycling. There are so many options when it comes to movement, but we can still get the same benefits, can't we, if we choose the right movement?
We can, and I want to do a little piece here, and this is especially for the executives and the leaders and the managers out there, and the keyboard warriors. Guys,
you know who you are.
You've got a real responsibility here, because you are out there setting an example, and people need to look at you and respect you. And quite frankly, if you don't look good, if your body doesn't function well, if you're walking around at the office or on site or wherever it is that you operate, and you're struggling because you're in pain, you're not walking too good, people, quite frankly, will lose respect. And I know there's a lot of you out there right now saying, no, I don't see it. We have for many, many years studied the behaviours of leaders and their teams. And we know that 10 to 20% more respect is earned when you look good, you look fit, and you look like somebody who's capable of leading a team. You also need endurance as a leader. So you know what I mean, you've been there. You do have to pull off long days frequently. You travel a lot. You may well be in a more physical type of role where you are active, and you need to be able to lead. You need to be able to bring your team with you, and you also need to be able to support your team. And it's a really long game as a leader. You really do have to have massive levels of endurance. And I liken it a bit like endurance races or ultra marathons. You need to be fitter and stronger than a lot of your team, so you can carry them when times are tough. So fitness, physical fitness, is actually really important, even if you're not in a physical position.
And interestingly, we have a lot of people who are tuning in, and this may be you, who are between the age of 45 to 60 plus, still in the workforce, still building a career. And they're facing that second layer where there's a lot of young pups coming through who are younger, more dynamic, more energetic. And if you're an older executive or you're an older person in the workforce, you have this added pressure that people have this ageist sort of view that some of the older people in the workforce may not be as physically dynamic and able to do what they're required to do. So without movement or regular activity, you not only can your capabilities can be challenged, but also your physical ability to do the task. So you've got that extra layer of pressure. So movement is critical for those executives in that particular period to make sure they can match it with the young pups.
It totally is. And it's all about congruency as well. So if you think about the image that you want to project as a leader, you want that strong, you want the dynamic, you want the credibility. But think about how you look. Look at yourself in the mirror today. Are you the image of the leader that you would want? And if you're not, this is an area that you really need to change, you need to fix.
Okay, so we're talking movement. We've ranted and raved about the importance of it. So give us some of the benefits of movement. Movement or exercise or activity. Let's put all in that thing. We can put it under the movement thing. So what are the physical benefits of including regular movement into your life?
And I'm going to say it's not only physical benefits, Mike. It's physical, it's mental, and it's emotional benefits as well. So you really do get a lot of benefit from movement.
Yes.
So we've got the first one is disease. So we know that movement will really help us to prevent some of those chronic diseases that we are seeing around at the moment. Type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, metabolic conditions. I can go through a huge list, but essentially it's a really important aspect to fighting disease.
Yes.
So that's the big benefit. If you want a long career,
long life,
and if
generally.
you want a long life, then movement is critical for you.
Absolutely.
So that's super important. It does improve our metabolism. So we hear a lot about metabolism, and there are many myths around, but essentially movement is a good way to help keep your metabolism fired up.
Yes.
And metabolism becomes important when we talk about your weight, the amount of fat you carry on your body.
Yep.
So if you've got a good metabolism, it's efficient, it's ticking along nicely, then you're not going to have as many issues with metabolic conditions. So really important there. It's also very important for the immune system. So not a lot of people realise, but doing regular movement boosts the immune system. So again, you want to be fending off the bugs and bacteria, the viruses,
yes.
The office sniffles, the colds and coughs
Absolutely.
that the kids bring home from school.
Yep.
And you're going to be able to do that better if you're moving regularly, frequently, and getting the benefits of movement. There's a really, really big one here, and this is stress. So we know, we've ranted about it before, we all lead very busy lives.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stress in our world, and it comes from all directions, and we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about stress, but movement is a great stress buster.
In how you deal with stress and how you respond to it, yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right. So we all know that feeling that you're feeling really pent up, and everything's getting to that breaking point.
Yes.
And you just want to go and punch somebody. Well, if you go and punch a nice boxing bag, that's going to relieve it. You go for a run, you go for a walk. It doesn't matter what the movement is, but it's a great way to get you out of your head and relieve that stress. So brilliant for relieving stress. It's very, very good for the brain. So everything I've talked about there, it's more about the body and the physiology of the body, but the brain itself benefits directly from exercise.
Excellent.
So again, when you think about your performance, think about your performance at work, think about as a leader, making decisions. If you can boost your brain and get 10 to 20% better efficiency from your brain, that's a great thing. So wonderful for the brain. And then, the last thing is around just basically stabilizing the body, flexing the body, getting mobility from the body. It just allows you to
do what you need to
do what you need to
Absolutely,
do.
yeah.
Whether it's pick up a box, whether it's lift the kids, whether it's reach into a cupboard, or just move without hurting yourself.
Absolutely.
It gives you that benefit.
Cool. So we've done movement. So we're talking about the EA of the Peaks formula, energize and activate your mind and body. Talked about movement. The second area we focus on in the Peaks formula is under breathing. So let's work through the approach we take and maybe the benefits of a structured breathing to add to the movement. And we've got a third element coming as well.
And this is a huge topic,
huge.
And I really encourage people to just have a listen or a watch of some of the episodes that we've done specifically about breathing. But let's just sort of distill it down. We know that as adults, we don't breathe as deeply as we should. Okay, so we breathe very shallow, we breathe high up in our chest. And what that does is it basically trains us to breathe in a way that's consistent with the stress response. So we've got this little shallow breath going on in our body.
Panting.
A bit of a pant, and you may not think that you pant, but there's numerous ways we can prove it. And essentially that makes your body ever so slightly stressed all the time.
Yes.
That makes you susceptible to illness. It basically elevates your heart rate and your blood pressure, making you susceptible to cardiovascular disease. And your body doesn't get the energy that it needs. So you don't get the oxygen to your body, so you don't generate energy. So you feel fatigued. So the way that we typically breathe as adults is not a very healthy way of breathing. And if you look at kids, especially babies, they take these beautiful, relaxed belly breaths, and they're filling their bodies full of oxygen, which allows them to grow, allows them to develop, allows their brain to develop. But what happens is over the course of our lives, we just lose that ability.
We lazy breathe.
Partly we're lazy. It's not all about laziness, though. A lot of it is about the stress of the modern life.
Yes.
We don't take the time to stop and breathe. We learn new bad habits. We forget how to breathe.
Yeah,
There's lots of reasons why it happens.
And I find it fascinating how many people have never had any formal instruction or formal coaching on how to breathe. How many people we deal with who have always breathed the same way they've breathed. They're not aware of diaphragmatic breathing, not aware of belly breath, they're not aware of different types of breathing for different benefits. So it's quite amazing how many people, it's a whole new world when they start to breathe, and the effects and the amazement and the feelings they get from breathing properly is quite outstanding.
So what we're talking about taking a period of your day,
Yes.
and we're only talking 10 to 15 minutes, and once a day is enough, and basically doing some structured, conscious breathing that's going to bring air deep into your lungs. So we call it belly breathing. So you literally draw air in by pulling the belly out instead of the chest. And what that does is it just takes massive amount of oxygen in, it saturates the cells with oxygen, and we can get a lot of benefits just by doing this conscious structured breathing for 10 to 15 minutes a day. Now, we particularly follow the Wim Hof method.
Yes.
And Wim is a guy in the Netherlands, a Dutch guy, who basically has developed a methodology which includes breathing, cold exposure, and essentially commitment or meditation and focus. And the method has been shown scientifically through many, many scientific studies done by universities all around the world to bring enormous benefits.
So what are some of the benefits of structured breathing, some of the physical and mental benefits?
Yeah, and I think, this is the one where until you try it,
It is.
you don't realise it. It's real trippy.
It is. It's a good, when we put a bunch of people in a room, we've taken them through structured breathing, and the end of their faces at the end of it are like, oh my gosh, all I did was breathe and I feel incredibly, I feel like I've gone to another planet.
I feel like I've gone to another planet. I feel like I've taken drugs. It really does have, and there is a natural drug release in the brain.
Yes.
So there is a
high on your own supply.
genuine trippiness. And whether you believe that, get high on your own supply or not, it's a bit of a hippie sort of phrase.
But it does feel like you just put something amazing in your body, and you just got a real buzz.
You do. So what benefits? You asked me what the benefits are. The first one I'm going to mention, because we talked about people being stressed. So the first one is stress relief.
Yes.
If you've got super busy mind, your mind's going absolutely nuts. You've got a big meeting coming up. You've got an exam. You've got to fire somebody. Whatever it is.
Yep.
And you're going through things in your head. You know that feeling. Your brain feels like it's racing. Things start to get a bit overwhelming. Stopping and taking 10 to 15 minutes to breathe in a way that allows you to only focus on the breathing, takes you out of that stressful situation, calms the entire body down, takes you from that, real stressful fight or flight response into what we call the rest and digest. So it literally switches you from one side of your nervous system to the other, and you get a whole range of physiological benefits. So the stress, the ability to manage your stress and become more resilient to stress. So it's not all about the moment.
It's developing the resilience.
But over a period of time, you can actually control the way you react to stress and become more resilient to stress, which is enormously important for everybody. So I think that's got to be one of the biggest aspects to it.
And I find I'm not a meditator, as you know, but I love my breathing time, because that's where I feel that I'm getting that mind-body connection, which for me is meditation, which is all I'm doing, and that's my time to really think about what I'm doing and really just block out the outside world, concentrate on my breathing, and get this amazing tranquility, and the stress is instantly gone. Whether I'm feeling 100%, I just want to boost, or whether I'm feeling a bit under the weather and need some energy and I just want a bit of a lift, at the end of it you feel incredible, and you feel like you've meditated through the breathing process.
Absolutely. And that mind-body connection, that meditative benefit, that stress relief really translates through into everyday life, because what it allows you to do, and again, this is one for the leaders out there, it allows you to deal with situations in the course of the day in a far calmer way, and it allows you to just literally deal with things much more objectively rather than getting drawn in and having that instant, fight or flight response.
And can be done anywhere at any time. You just need 5 or 10 minutes, a bit of a quiet space, and you can get some amazing benefits from structured breathing.
You can. So I think that's the first thing. I've got to mention a couple of the other benefits though. One of them is that the actual technique itself, and again, this is scientifically proven, it makes your body more alkaline. So we hear a lot of myths around alkalinity: eat this food, do this, and they're all a bit wacky. We're not talking about any of that. We're simply talking about shifting the balance a fraction.
Yes.
So, for those who understand chemistry, we've basically got two polar opposites. You've got things that are acid, like vinegar, and you've got things that are alkaline. So they've got more of that soapy quantity to the feeling to them. When you put acid and alkaline together, you get reactions. So what we know is in the body, we are often in a slightly acid state. And we're talking about our blood. So this is not the food we eat. It's not what's happening in our stomach.
Yep.
This is our blood. So when we wake up on a morning and our body has processed its food and it's got, the waste products are built up, we tend to be slightly acidic. And so the acidic state is the one that promotes disease. We know that cancers thrive in an acidic state.
Yes.
We know that all sorts of conditions, again, thrive when we're acidic. So what we want, and we're not talking about significantly, we're just talking about just the wrong side of a neutral pH.
Absolutely.
What we know is on the other end of the spectrum, the alkaline state, if we can be just slightly alkaline, we can fight off bugs and bacteria and viruses. So the breathing actually causes our blood to become slightly alkaline, making it less hospitable for bugs, bacteria and viruses, thereby allowing us to fend them off and boost the immune system. It also allows us, that mind-body connection you mentioned a few seconds ago, we actually take control of the nervous system and we can, using our mind, boost the immune system. So we get two benefits. One is the alkalinity and the second is we actually teach our immune system to be stronger.
And we often wake up slightly acidic, don't we?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah,
we wake up acidic,
yeah,
so
so
we're
in the
going to
morning,
counter that.
With the breathing.
Yeah.
And the saturation of our body with oxygen, that boosts our energy.
So the last one is an energy benefit, and this is the one, again, it's the other reason for doing it.
The one you get the trippiness.
You get the trippiness, but basically if you do this on a morning, first of all, it's going to give you, as you said, the boost to the immune system. So if anybody's wandering around with a sniffle, your body's going to be nice and alkaline and you're going to feel really good and you're going to fend it off easily.
Yes.
The second thing it does is, when you're taking in all of that extra oxygen, and we're talking about 40-50% more than you normally do, and you're getting that into every cell in the body, and the method itself allows you to super saturate your cells. So you're basically forcing the oxygen into the cells. They've just got no choice, you're packing it in. And that super saturation into the cells, what that does is that basically enables more energy production. So, oxygen is needed to produce energy. When we pack more of that energy in, or more of that oxygen in, we're going to get more energy out.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have more energy for the day. So what people find when they start doing this Wim Hof method, immediately they find themselves having a lot less fatigue. They can concentrate better because their brain's getting all this oxygen. So they've got mental benefits, they've got physical benefits, and they just literally power through the day.
Excellent. So huge benefits there. And we love the breathing bit, so we could talk for hours. So we talked movement, we've talked breathing, we've talked about energizing and activating the mind and body. The last one which you've touched on is cold exposure or cold therapy. So how do we include that in the energizer and activate our mind and body, and what's the importance of doing some cold exposure? Because I think a lot of people, when you talk about cold exposure, a lot of people are a little bit sort of, what is it? Should I do it? And the benefits. It's actually very simple, but the results and the effectiveness is quite outstanding, isn't it?
It is. And so what we're talking about here is we're actually talking about deliberately exposing the body to cold. And there's lots of different ways to do it. You can take a cold shower.
Yes.
You can take a cold dip or an ice bath. Or you can go and have a cryotherapy session. And again, we've got episodes on this. If you want to dig deeper and find out more, go and have a listen or a watch. But essentially, we live in a really comfortable society. We have comfortable lives. We have air-conditioned houses, we have heated houses, we have lots of clothes to wear, and we're very rarely exposed to cold. And as a result, we've gone soft. So we are, as a race...
We have gone soft. You have gone soft, humans. Toughen up.
We are pretty soft.
Yes.
We're not, as our ancestors would have been, exposed to harsh conditions.
Isn't that a good thing? Why do we need to shock our body with a bit of tough love?
So Yes, it's a good thing from a perspective of comfortability. We have a very nice
We
life.
get lazy and soft, but we need to give it a bit of a boost.
But what it means is our immune systems are soft and lazy.
Yes.
That a lot of our physiology is no longer adapted to the cold. And that does lead to, impairment of longevity. And it does lead to various diseases as well. So if we want, again, to boost our immune system, boost the nervous system, then what we're going to do is we're going to basically give our body a bit of a cold shock. And that cold shock is literally going to put a stress on the body. So these are called hormetic stressors, and you can get the same effect by doing hot therapy like saunas. But here we're promoting cold for various reasons. There's more benefits. And when we basically put that controlled stress on the body, we're teaching the body and the nervous system, again, to be able to handle it. And so we become resilient to it. And that resilience that builds in the immune system and the nervous system can translate through to everyday life again. So it's not just about exposing yourself to cold for the sake of it. It's about becoming stronger. It's about becoming more resilient. And it's about being able to translate that through into daily life. So again, people that do cold therapy regularly find not only the benefits I'll mention in a second, but they're more able to deal with things on a day-to-day basis.
All right, let's touch on the how. So because a lot of people who have never heard of cold exposure or cold therapy, there's 2 or 3 different ways you can expose yourself to cold, and then maybe run through the physical and mental benefits of cold.
So the easiest way to do cold is to take a cold shower.
Yes,
And
cold shower.
And again, I'm going to give a caveat, but I'm not going into details today. So the caveat is, because we haven't really run through movement details or how to do breathing either, but the caveat here is this is a powerful technique that has significant physiological impacts.
Yes.
And if you don't follow the cautionary tale that we give, you can end up with things like frostbite. You can shock your system to the point where it affects your heart. You may faint. So this is not one to be done lightly.
No.
You need to be careful. You need to make sure that you've worked with your medical professional. But essentially, a couple of minutes in a cold shower where you've built up maybe from 10 to 30 seconds, a couple of minutes in a cold shower will give you enormous benefits. And it only needs to be 15 to 20 degrees to get benefit.
Okay.
As I said, if you want to know the how, go and listen to the episode.
Because it walks you through the temperatures and the duration.
There's a lot of details.
Yes.
So dig into that one because it's really, really worthwhile.
So you've got the cold shower, and then there's obviously different levels, and we'll get into that in another episode. So we've done that. So when we expose our body to that cold exposure, or that cold therapy, physically and then mentally, what happens? What's the changes that occur?
So the real benefits, and again, there's a multitude of benefits. The first one that I know everybody is really interested in is fat loss.
Woohoo, get skinny. Get skinny in the cold.
You certainly can lose fat.
Yes.
Because what happens is basically your metabolism is boosted significantly. Now, you need to be exposed for a fair amount of time and to cool temperatures. So, you don't take a 2-minute cold shower at 20 degrees and 20 degrees C and then expect to lose pounds or kilos of fat. It doesn't work like that. But essentially, you will get a metabolism boost and it will help to lose fat.
Excellent.
So it definitely does help to lose fat. And it also, I think the important thing there is it helps to lose the dangerous fat. Right, so we've got, anybody who's got belly fat is going to have white fat around the internal organs, and we know that's dangerous. We know that if you can actually, manhandle rolls of fat around your stomach, you are at risk of a lot of diseases like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and the list goes on. So this is the type of fat that we can address with the cold therapy.
Excellent.
And we build up brown fat, which is the type of fat that keeps us warm in cold conditions.
Yes.
So we shift the balance.
Okay.
So we shift the balance in a really healthy direction, as well as losing weight overall.
So good for fat loss.
Very
one
good for
of the
fat loss.
supports. Regulates the blood sugar.
So regulating the blood sugar is linked to fat loss in a sense. It really does help to regulate the blood sugar. So if you've got any condition, any metabolic condition, something like type 2 diabetes, or you're pre-diabetic, your blood glucose readings are coming back a bit high every time, then it's not going to be your only therapy. It can't replace medicines on its own.
Yes.
But it is a useful addition in basically stabilising and normalising that blood sugar.
Interesting. And then great for the nervous system and great for the immune system.
So I've talked a bit about the nervous system and the immune system. So let me just run through that again. Because we're basically putting that stress on the body,
Yes.
we're going to, in a controlled way, teach the body to handle that fight or flight response, or that fight or flight syndrome. So basically by doing that, we're going to, using our mind, shift between sympathetic, parasympathetic states in the nervous system. And it's a bit like exercising any other part of the body. We're going to actually exercise the nervous system. And we know with our body, if we exercise our muscles, they get stronger. If we exercise the nervous system, it gets stronger. It's also a part of the body that we don't normally control. So it runs, automatically, autonomously, and basically through that our body, we stay alive, our heart beats, and we breathe at night, we digest our food. We don't expect to have to think about these processes.
Yeah.
But there are some of them where if we can take control and we can use our mind to take control, we can get major benefits.
Yeah.
So being able to, at will, control the nervous system, stop yourself going too deep into that fight or flight, bring yourself back to rest and digest, is hugely important for people. And then the last one is the immune system. And again, it's the same thing.
Yep.
We're exercising the immune system, we are generating more white blood cells, we're sending them to wherever they need to go. And that's going to allow us to fight off bugs, bacteria, viruses. It's going to allow us to deal with, infections. And so again, it really does give a significant boost to the immune system.
Excellent. So energize and activate the mind and body is where we're sitting at the moment in the PEAKS formula. We've talked about movement, we've talked about breathing, we've talked about cold exposure. They're the three sort of activities or the areas we focus on when we go through the PEAKS formula, but we tie them all together because a lot of people listening in might be thinking that's a lot of work. I have to give up this time and do this. How do we tie it together into a routine and make it very, very simple to apply? Movement, breathing, cold.
So a lot of people are interested in, achieving the goal that they've set out for their wellness. And as you said, they want to find a way that makes it simple, that they get the biggest benefits, the most bang for the buck, the return on the investment. The way that we recommend is to formulate a morning routine. Because if you've made wellness a priority, and you've said that the key for me is to improve my energy level, for example, and then you've had a look at what we're recommending and you say, right, I'm going to include some breathing and some cold, and that will help me to energize and activate my mind and body. So I'll get better energy, I'll lose that fatigue, and I'll get better energy. If that's my priority, then we recommend bringing those elements together in a morning routine. That means you've basically done your priority actions for your wellness first thing in the morning. You don't have to worry about doing them later in the day and getting busy or getting in meetings. You basically tick the box and you can power through your day and actually reap the benefit, for the full 24/7. So, here we're talking about, first of all, that prioritization piece. What is your priority? You can't do everything.
No.
So don't try and do the whole lot at once.
Just you're right.
Pick something, pick one thing. Pick one thing that's achievable and do it. And then, next month pick something else, but take one thing. Make yourself a morning routine. So think about how much time you've got available. What else can you drop out of your morning routine? Make your morning routine, fit that thing into it, and then do it for 30 days. And by the end of 30 days, you've formed yourself a new habit, and you should be consistently getting the benefits, and you'll then be motivated to keep doing it for life, basically.
And just on a practical aspect, we are really only talking about 15 to 30 minutes. So if you were to add in some movement in the morning, some flexibility to mobility, some mobility activities first in the morning to start the day, and we've got some episodes on that. If you were then to do some structured breathing, 10, 15 minutes, and then do some cold exposure, a few minutes in the shower. That whole routine is not onerous. So it's not, we have a lot of people say, oh, I just can't, I'm busy in the morning. You're not. You're prioritizing other things ahead of this. If you've got 15 to 20 to 30 minutes in the morning, you can have a very effective AM routine that picks up those 3 areas. Yes, you can do more activity, more movement later on. Yes, you can do more cold exposure and breathing, but that will be the bare ass minimum to start your day, to get your day started and give you the best possible chance to energize and activate the mind. And the other thing is...
And sorry, before you go off that, Mike, just to add a bit more value, my morning routine includes a 20-minute wellness piece, and that is mobilise.
Yes.
So I've done my movement. I've
Yes.
got my joints moving. It includes my structured breathing, my
Yes.
Wim Hof breathing, and it includes 2 minutes in my ice bath.
And that's just 20 minutes.
20 minutes, and that is literally
Yep.
start to finish.
Yep.
And like that 20 minutes also includes a bit of standing meditation at the end. So you could probably trim that down
Yep.
to 16 minutes.
Absolutely.
So 16 minutes, and I've packed in all of the activities that make me basically ping
Yep.
for the rest of my day. Now,
You feel fantastic.
I do go off and do exercise after that.
Yes. So that's the extra.
That's a bit extra.
Yes.
We are simply talking about getting moving, getting the breathing done.
Yep.
So I've moved the body, I've got the oxygen in, and I've boosted my immune system all in 16 minutes.
And just on that 16 minutes alone, a lot of people tuning in would get significant benefits. If you want to do more, obviously, you can help. That's going to boost it. But a bare minimum of 16 minutes every day will get a lot of those results you're talking about. And one of the other things we know is successful people love routines.
That's right.
And so we've put it into a morning routine because we know that the studies show, and this isn't just us, the studies show that if you were to look at one of the key factors of successful people and what are some of the things they may do different, is they always have a structured routine, and the morning routine is one of the areas they would point out as I start my day with this routine. And all we're doing is putting a 15-20 minute routine in there that's going to boost your energy and mind and give you a great start to the day.
Exactly right. Successful people know that routines improve productivity, freedom, happiness, all of those things. Imagine, you may already be a routines person.
Yes.
Imagine just slotting in that 16 minutes at the start of your normal routine
Yep.
and basically finding it amplifies
Yes.
your normal morning routine significantly. You could have done, way more than you normally do. You could have more creativity, more productivity, and again, it'll power you through the rest of the day as well.
Absolutely. So the challenge is prioritise. Organise the routine, so you'll have to sit down and think about your morning time and how you put that in. Do the 30 days, as you've said, because that's kind of the bare minimum to get the routine happening, and then reap the rewards. Enjoy it, tweak it a little bit, and make it part of your regular daily sort of routine.
Exactly right.
Awesome. So some great tips. Thanks for joining us on The Peaks Life again, everyone, and we'll see you again very, very soon.
Indeed.